30 Americans moved to Italy over the past 5 years. I interviewed all of them. 10 succeeded and now consider Italy their permanent home. 20 struggled badly. Some returned to the United States after losing significant money and time. Others stayed in Italy but regret choices they cannot easily undo. The difference was not money, luck, or even their language level on day one. The difference was whether they avoided 10 specific mistakes that almost nobody warns you about until after you have already made them. These mistakes can cost €15,000 to €30,000 in avoidable expenses. They can cost months of frustration, strain relationships, damage health, and in some cases destroy the dream entirely. What makes them so dangerous is that most begin as small assumptions that feel harmless in the moment. I am sharing them not to discourage you, but to help you succeed where others failed. Every mistake on this list is avoidable if you know about it before you commit your money and your future. This is the reality check that comes after videos about where to move and how to afford it. This is what happens when the dream meets daily life. It is the part most relocation content skips because practical truth is less romantic than sunsets, stone houses, and cheap espresso. Welcome to the channel. Subscribe because we tell you what others leave out. Mistake number 1. Buying before renting. This is the most expensive error on the list. Sarah and Tom bought an €85,000 stone house in Abruzzo after 2 vacations in Italy. They spent another €15,000 on repairs and furnishing. Within 3 months of living there full time, they realized they hated village isolation. The nearest supermarket was 20 minutes away. Winter in the mountains was darker and colder than they expected. The community was kind, but they missed the convenience they had taken for granted in America. They put the house on the market. 18 months later, it still had not sold. They were stuck paying taxes and utilities on a property they no longer wanted. The lesson is simple. Rent first. Rent for at least 6 months, ideally a full year. You need to experience all 4 seasons. You need to deal with bureaucracy. You need to learn whether you actually enjoy daily Italian life or just enjoyed Italian holidays. A €500 monthly rental costs about €6,000 for a year. That buys knowledge. It buys certainty. If Italy is not for you, you leave with clarity. If you buy immediately and discover the same truth, you can end up trapped in a slow property market where selling takes a year or more. Every expat I spoke to who bought immediately wished they had rented first. Every expat who rented first was glad they did. Mistake number 2. Assuming English will be enough. Michael moved to Puglia speaking no Italian. He thought English would carry him through because Italy is a developed European country and he had heard many Italians speak English. That assumption made his first year miserable. He could not explain maintenance problems to his landlord. He could not understand letters from the comune. The post office, the bank, and every government office became day-long ordeals. The bigger problem was loneliness. His neighbors were friendly, but real conversation was impossible. He was physically in the community and socially outside it. He could stand in the piazza, smile, and still feel completely cut off from the life around him. Here is the truth. In major tourist centers like Rome, Florence, Milan, and Venice, you can survive with English. In the affordable towns many relocators actually choose, English is limited or absent. Small towns, rural areas, and much of southern Italy function in Italian. The successful expats reached roughly B1 level before moving or within 6 months of arrival. That is not fluency. It is functional independence. It means you can ask questions, understand basic answers, solve everyday problems, and stop depending on luck. Start learning 6 months before the move. Keep studying after arrival. Budget for lessons. This is not an optional extra. It is part of the relocation itself. Even a basic ability to introduce yourself, ask for help, understand directions, and explain simple problems changes everything. It lowers stress, builds confidence, and signals respect to the people around you. Mistake number 3. Choosing a postcard instead of a real town. Linda bought in a famous Tuscan hill town that appears in every guidebook and calendar. She paid €280,000 for a small house that would have cost perhaps €80,000 in a less celebrated place. The town was beautiful. It was also overwhelmed with tourism. Restaurants catered to day trippers. Local shops had turned into souvenir and gallery spaces. Many residents had left, replaced by short-term rentals and second home owners. She ended up living in a museum instead of a community. This pattern repeats across Italy. Famous destinations often cost 200% to 400% more than unknown but equally livable towns. You pay for recognition and tourism infrastructure. You often lose authenticity, affordability, and real local life. Choose for daily living, not photography. Visit in winter when the visitors are gone. Ask whether you could live there year-round, not just spend a beautiful week there. Ask where you will shop, where you will park, where you will meet people, and whether the place still feels alive in February. Mistake number 4. Underestimating bureaucracy. Robert thought residency would take a few weeks. He planned 1 month in Italy to finish the paperwork, then expected to return to the United States temporarily and wrap up work obligations. 6 months later he was still untangling documents from across the Atlantic. One paper lacked the correct stamp. One office was only open 2 mornings a week. One step depended on another office confirming information. Then another document expired because too much time had passed. Italian bureaucracy runs on its own timetable. Offices have short hours, long lunch breaks, and August slowdowns. Processes that should be digital often still require paper and physical presence. A realistic timeline for an American is not a few weeks. It is often 4 to 8 months from arrival to having residency, permit steps, and supporting paperwork fully in order. Sometimes one delay becomes 3 because each office waits on another office. Plan for that. Do not book your life around optimistic assumptions. Do not schedule return flights, housing endings, or business deadlines as if every office will move quickly. You will be calmer if you treat delay as normal rather than as a personal disaster. People get into trouble when they make American-style timelines for Italian processes. The problem is not just delay. It is the chain reaction created when one delayed document affects everything else. Mistake number 5. Trying to handle taxes and legal paperwork without a commercialista. Jennifer tried to save money by doing it herself. She misunderstood a tax deadline, triggered penalties, then filed incorrectly while trying to fix the problem. By the time a professional untangled the mess, she had spent thousands. She tried to save roughly €1,200 a year. The mistake cost far more. Italian tax law is complex, deadline-driven, and unforgiving. Forms are in Italian. Terminology is technical. Rules change. The system assumes professional help. Our commercialista may cost €1,200 to €2,400 a year depending on your situation. That usually covers filings, guidance, submissions, and communication with authorities. It is not an unnecessary expense. It is protection against costly errors. Every successful expat I interviewed had professional support early. Many of the struggling ones waited until after something had already gone wrong. By then they were not buying advice. They were paying for rescue. Mistake number 6. Expecting Italy to adapt to you. Patricia moved to Calabria and complained constantly that nobody spoke English. She believed local services should adjust to her rather than the other way around. She refused to learn Italian. That attitude poisoned her relationships. She became the foreigner people avoided. Her relocation failed socially long before it failed practically. The reality is simple. Italy is Italy. Italians speak Italian. In affordable areas, English is often limited. That is not a defect in the country. It is the reality of living in another culture. You are the one choosing to move. Your job is adaptation. Italy is not moving toward you. You are moving toward Italy. The expats who succeeded approached Italy with humility. They accepted misunderstandings, learned gradually, and appreciated every effort others made to meet them halfway. The ones who struggled kept comparing everything to America and resenting the difference. Your mindset shapes your experience more than you think. The same slow office, the same late appointment, and the same language barrier can feel like part of an adventure or proof that you made a terrible mistake. Attitude changes the meaning of every inconvenience. Mistake number 7. Wanting Italian life with American efficiency. David expected fast service, strict punctuality, and immediate responses. He got angry when shops closed for long lunches, when appointments started late, and when internet installation took weeks. He spent his first year furious that Italy was not America. But Italian culture values different things. Meals are longer. Family time is protected. August slows down entire systems. Relationships often matter more than speed. These are not glitches in the Italian system. They are part of the culture people say they admire from a distance. The successful expats stopped fighting the pace. They built their lives around it. They discovered that slowness can feel like richness once you stop measuring everything by efficiency alone. They learned that if you know the rhythms, life becomes easier. You shop earlier, plan ahead, and stop expecting every service to behave like an app. You cannot demand an Italian lifestyle while rejecting the way Italian life actually works. Mistake number 8. Buying property without a geometra inspection. Mark bought a stone house for €65,000 and skipped the geometra because the inspection seemed like an unnecessary €800 expense. The house looked solid. After purchase, he learned the roof needed major work. The septic system was failing. Electrical wiring was unsafe. Water damage had affected structural areas. His affordable house became an expensive emergency. A geometra is not a luxury. It is basic protection. They identify structural issues, code problems, and likely repair costs before you commit. They can also tell you when an attractive price is low for a reason. In Italy, sellers often present properties as is. Charming exteriors can hide expensive internal failures. If you skip professional inspection, you are gambling. On any purchase, hire our geometra. No exceptions. Mistake number 9. Assuming healthcare registration happens automatically. Susan thought residency would automatically place her inside the healthcare system. It did not. She went months without proper coverage because she did not know she had to register separately with the local ASL. Only later did she discover the process. Present residency documentation, passport, and codis fiscale, choose a primary care doctor, and complete the regional registration steps required for access to the public system. The lesson is broader than healthcare. In Italy, many essential systems do not activate automatically. Nobody chases you. Nobody reminds you. You need to know what must be done and then do it. Residency is one step. Healthcare registration is another. Tax compliance is another. If you assume one office talks seamlessly to another, you can lose months. Successful relocators make checklists, ask questions early, and treat each system as separate until confirmed otherwise. Mistake number 10. Treating beauty as a substitute for community. James bought a farmhouse in the countryside. He loved the view, worked remotely, and told himself solitude was part of the dream. He rarely went into town and avoided community events because his Italian felt weak. 18 months later, he was deeply lonely. He had not built a single meaningful friendship. The peaceful countryside had become isolation. This may be the hardest truth in relocation. The biggest challenge is often not paperwork or property. It is building a social life from zero as an adult in a foreign country. Success requires deliberate effort. Shop locally. Attend events. Say yes to invitations. Join classes. Return to the same cafe, bakery, and bar often enough that people begin to recognize you. Accept awkwardness. Keep showing up. Community can take 6 months to 2 years to build. You cannot buy it, and you cannot skip the uncomfortable first phase. But without it, even the most beautiful location can feel empty. A beautiful house is a setting. Relationships are the thing that make the setting feel like home. That is what separates thriving from merely surviving. The happiest expats were rarely the ones with the prettiest houses. They were the ones who knew the bar owner, greeted neighbors by name, had someone to call when a problem appeared, and felt woven into ordinary local life. All 10 mistakes share the same root cause. People made decisions based on holidays, internet fantasies, or optimistic assumptions. They underestimated difficulty, overestimated how quickly problems could be solved, and tried to save money in the wrong places. The people who succeeded did the opposite. They rented before buying. They learned Italian. They hired professionals. They expected bureaucracy to move slowly. They adapted culturally instead of resisting. They built community on purpose. Success in Italy does not require perfection. It requires preparation, patience, humility, and realistic expectations. The first year is often hard. The second is usually better. The people who understand that are the ones most likely to stay. If these warnings make Italy sound difficult, that is good. It is difficult. It is also worth it when approached honestly. These mistakes do not mean you should abandon the dream. They mean you should protect it. Like the video if realistic guidance helps you more than fantasy. Subscribe because we tell you what relocation actually feels like after the honeymoon phase ends. And tell us in the comments which mistake surprised you most, or which one you nearly made before hearing this. The dream of Italian life is real. These 10 mistakes are the gap between imagining it and building it. The more clearly you see them now, the better your chances of crossing that gap successfully, with less regret, less waste, and a far better chance of making Italy truly feel like home.